Hello, Silver Squad, and welcome back to the truck for one of our daily updates. So I had to take the truck in early this morning for some work. I figured we'd sit in here in the old Harris Teeter parking lot and film our little update about yesterday. So to sum it up very quickly, she's cooked, she's flame broiled, she's done. Yesterday was the solid evidence that ties it all together. And if there were any doubts, in my unprofessional opinion, the jury saw this. So, welcome to the Sofa Squad. My name is Paul. Usually we've got a sofa. It's a little bit more, I don't even want to say formal, but, intentional, let's say. But trying to get these quick updates out, I'm just recording on my phone and whatnot and the whole nine yards. So I have my computer sitting here, so I will look over that to reference some notes. And let's just go ahead and get into what the things are that stuck out to me about yesterday. First of all, Lori gets in trouble right off the beginning before the jury comes in for sending a subpoena to Larry Woodcock and like somebody else. I think Zachary Cox, Adam Cox's son, her nephew, basically. And essentially what the judge is saying is they're just like, you can't do that, like, for obvious reasons. And Lori was like, oh, I didn't know. I just signed my name to a bunch of things, okay? I didn't know who was in there. And she's like, I apologize to the families, and, almost like that, like, yeah, whatever, I apologize to the families, like, it was my fault. And it was just tacky, okay? But do we expect anything less? Now, then they're talking about other subpoenas, and I might even make the title of this to this. The judge is like, you're not kind of out of time, you're out of time. You're done. He gave her the whole, you're done. Okay, you're done. So we like that. Now, they resumed the cross-examination with Cassandra from the police department. This was the investigator who interviewed Lori in the infamous video that we've seen. Lori talks about the chain of custody with Charles' phone. She is like, did you ever look at my phone to confirm that Charles was threatening me? These threatening texts that Lori keeps talking about. And then she gets her to say that Lori was cooperative. She gets her to say that Talia was cooperative. She, meaning Lori, loves talking about the $2 million life insurance policy that Charles had on her and loves telling people about this. It has become her personality, like a part of it, right? Next to the green chili enchiladas, chicken enchiladas. Okay, then she grills her about the Burger King video, which we'll see in a minute. She grills her about the flip-flops, talking about, the Florida heat, this and the other, blah, 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 blah. Then Lori's like, did you let us know when we came to the interviews that we could leave? Okay, then the state gets back up and it's like, okay, so one of the things that Lori does, let me rewind, is that with these people who are saying that, like, her demeanor is kind of weird and whatnot, Lori's like, were you calm that day? Sure. Was I calm that day? Was I matching your energy? So the state gets up and she asks the investigator this. She's like, did you, did you just have a family member unalived in your home? No. In front of your kids? No. So on and so forth. No. Oh, thank you. Right? Like the obvious thing. Okay. And then officer says, when you're going to give death notice. Okay, so let me rephrase this. I'm just reading my notes and then remembering to kind of put some context. So sorry. So the officer's talking about the death notice, basically going to Lori to say, hey, your husband's officially dead. Now, remember, if you're watching this or following it, the cops are all, when they show up, not thinking that Lori knows about this because it's like, oh, she's showing up to the scene or whatever. So she's under the assumption that Lori does not know. So she goes to tell Lori, and Lori's like, oh, I know, girl. I was there. And she's like, okay, please hold. Stop. Collaborate and listen. We've got to now treat you like a witness. Okay, this kind of changes things, right? And I was just like, of course Lori would have to brag that she was there. She couldn't just, not say that. Now, hold on one second while I scroll down to the next thing. Okay, so that's all there. Yes, the investigator in general has a kind of odd vibe to her. Yes, they seem to have really dropped the ball in many areas, okay? I don't think that the state has tried to even really hide this at that point in the questioning of her. Okay, then jury has questions. Was the rental car searched? No. Why were Lori and Tylee left with victims' advocates if they were witnesses? And basically she's like, we did this because of not knowing all the dynamics and almost like trying to be a nice person, almost like the assumption of like they just had this person unalived, this person can like help you out or whatever. Did Lori express concerns over the police talking to Tylee? No, she didn't, the officer says. So cops have to tell people, do cops have to tell people they're being videotaped and all that kind of stuff? No, they do not. It is an assumed, like, if you're the cop station, you're being videotaped, you're being recorded, whatever. We don't have to make that, say that, whatever. I thought these were good questions, and I thought it was very telling about the whole thing of, did Lori act nervous about Tylee being interviewed? Because one thing that told me, and I'm curious what y'all think, sorry, I didn't mean to touch the microphone, is I was like, because when she's like, no, she didn't, you would not, you would expect Lori to be nervous if Tylee was hiding something. You would not expect her to be nervous if Tylee was like telling the truth. So I was like, ugh, the fact that she's like, no, she wasn't concerned about Tylee, not testifying, but talking to the officer. However, the evidence we're getting ready to talk about, I was like, oh, this did her in, right? Okay, so hold on. Now, next witness. Okay, now this was another witness, y'all. If you watch, you already know what I'm about to say. This dude gets up there. He's got the sharp jawline. He's got the haircut. He's got the tie. And then he starts talking, and he's like, hello, I have a very deep, brawny voice. Well, the chat went wild over this. Now, in addition to all that, this man came with receipts and a PowerPoint that might as well have been a grave digging shovel, okay? Because he dug Lori's grave with it. Now, he talks about the Burger King situation. And basically, he's like, the timeline that Lori gives does not, that Lori and Alex, let's say, and evidence being 911 phone calls, they don't add up to what we have here through GPS, through text messages, through phone calls, this kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna cut to like the brunt of it real quick. So he basically puts this whole thing up there, and it was very interesting scientifically, or whatever you call it, to look at how this worked. Because he's like, look, here's the towers, and this is their range, and this is what we did to make sure the phone wasn't actually over here, because yes, there can be mistakes, there can be this, there can be that. Okay, so he's like, from 7:37, these are times, 7:37 to 7:49, the device leaves the area. From 7, and these are kind of blurry over here now, 52, Alex Cox does an outgoing phone call to Lori. Remember, she took Charles's phone. 40 some minutes later is this is like 40 some minutes before the 911 phone call. Okay. 7:53, 7:56, devices near Burger King. They show the video at Burger King. Then 7:56 to 8:06 travel. 8:06 from Alex to Lori's phone. I'm sorry, to Charles's phone, but he's calling Lori. Then 8:06 from Alex to Lori. 8:17, Lori's at the Walgreens. They show the videos of her buying the flip-flops. 8:33, Lori's at Lauren's Life Academy. 8:35, Alex calls 911. And so there's that. Let's talk about that. So basically, this man showed, without a doubt, Lori leaves the house. Alex is calling her almost momentarily, right? Then they wait all this time before calling 911. They show all the videos. So now the jury has seen she's going to Burger King. She's getting flip-flops. She's coming back. She's laughing. She's joking. And then they're not calling 911 till how much longer later? And we've already seen the gun evidence. So they took the threat out on the assumption of he was threatening. So it was self-defense. They disarmed the threat and then went overboard and took his life, right? They went overboard with the shooting or whatever. Again, we all know what went down, right? I mean, we don't know, but like, in the context of, if we follow the case, the jury, should not know all this backstory that we know. Okay. Anyways, so Lori gets on the cross-examination and she tries to nitpick the police report. Okay. And like, it doesn't end well for her at all. And she's like asking about women in Charles's phone and dates and this and that. And the judge is just like, girl, we ain't having it. Okay. He's like, no, 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 no. And even the state says, and I put up there, the state says she's trying to smear the victim, Charles's name. And it's a no-go. Now, basically, this is what's popping off. The state was like, look, we have another person who's supposed to come up here, but he's been sick. He's sick today. So we knocked off 2 hours early, basically. Okay. Now, here's the other thing with that. So overall, today, like I said, today was the day where I was like, oh yeah, The jury, if they haven't put it together with hardline evidence, oh, they're seeing it today. They are seeing it today, right? And they're like, whoa, mama jama, okay? Big time. So and I said this in the live chat, watching Lori questioning and doing all this stuff, her mask is coming off more and more, okay? Her mask is slipping off each and every time she gets up there to question. They are seeing more of like the evil Lori, the real Lori, right? So I'm curious to see who she calls up there. I don't know who's going to show up. Half of her subpoenas didn't work. The judge says you're done. You're out of time. You know, um, we'll see. I feel like the state, there's not much talking your way out of this. Lori, and somebody in the chat compared it like this. Lori is so convinced that she's like, have you seen his threatening messages? Well, honey, we've seen the messages and he's calling you out for being woohoo, whatever. That's not threatening. That's trying to save his kids, right? And at one point, his marriage. It's the same thing. This is what somebody called out the chat, where Sarah Boone's talking about, I'm going to show these videos, and the world will think that that George was the aggressor to me. Well, when we saw them, most of us were like, I'm fearful for George. Okay, these videos don't paint Sarah in a good light. That same energy is going on here with Lori, where she thinks people are going to think one thing, but it's like it's not coming off like that for her, right? But oftentimes we see that with these personality types. I remember, ain't no doctor, ain't no lawyer, ain't no copy, none of that fancy credential stuff. Only credentials we got is the sofa and some sass, and we're barely hanging on to that today. Okay. um Okay, complete side note, y'all. What is the obsession with people, and I'm sure I do this too, when you're parked in a parking lot in the middle of nowhere and someone wants to come park next to you? Right? No, they're parked 2 cars away, but I was like, what? I don't understand what the point of that is. And before, because this is my first thought, well, they might feel safer. This is not a dangerous parking lot. It's very well lit. There's people, I mean, this is daytime, you can see. There's like people walking around or whatever. So it's just funny to me, but she is like walking, she's not lingering around. So she actually might be an employee and she's parking away, and that's why she's here. But do y'all ever notice that? Like, where you be in a parking lot or whatever, and it's just like somebody is like, why did you park next to me way over here? Anyways, so it's just funny to me. Um, so yeah, so I think that the jury, in my unprofessional opinion, they're gonna see through this. They've seen they've seen what they needed to see, and she's flame broiled. She ain't cooked, she's flame broiled. Okay, so we'll see. So anyways, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Remember, you're going to see this Wednesday, probably morning at some point. We've got today, and then we've got Thursday, and the state is saying they think they'll be done by Thursday, possibly today. Okay, so this could be going boom, 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 boom very quickly. So that's it. I love y'all. We'll talk soon.